Votes out. You're staying?
No, I don't think so. We actually I'm not gonna say I don't think so. I have to show it to you. The reason why I said that is because we just talked about that. We were talking about how we just had to look at our insurance company. That's all the sidewalks. So,
Just out of curiosity, wondering about
I'm not
We just started ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Don't cross the
Hey, Chief.
road.
How you doing? Good. Good.
Might be wrong side of the road.
Yeah. I like to sit by the chief anyway, so I can talk to him. Oh, that doesn't mean you filled that.
No, I just was making sure I knew who I was. That's right, it's Monday, so I'm flying.
See, he's my, well, actually, he does leave, and he's my first line of defense. I figure if somebody comes in there, shoot her up, shooting on a desk, and he can protect me.
I'm ducking, so
You are?
Yeah,
call me if you get killed.
you're faster than you look.
Yeah, somebody was saying, that was not a funny video played about how, if I get killed, you know how you call in and they record your, I'm sure whatever the guy's gonna say, and we'll just sit there. Just crap myself, he goes, I'm not gonna call this, I'm dying, because I recorded, I'm gonna tell him I crap myself, and it's gonna be all the media that might, but he's saying, yeah, one thing you did is crap yourself, you know? That was kind of funny. So we have an executive session, but I have a question.
Yeah. I picked that up before I even sat down.
When you're done there. So you gotta call them and find out. I get scared when it comes to that.
Did you have a nap this afternoon? No, well, actually I did for just a few minutes. And I brought my leg up. Yeah, it was a little better.
I just peed a little, thanks a lot.
Yeah, maybe that's all.
We're gearing up for football season.
Yeah, I tried. Okay. I can tell by his demeanor that it was a little far, so. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this doesn't make any difference.
You know how to get back the you know how to get back the Wi-Fi? It's not connected for some
Oh, let's see. Yeah, New York City. Yeah, I thought Carl would find out. No, yes, that's okay.
Yeah, you want one? I brought you one. I brought you one, see, it's right here. Huh? I don't want to pay extra dollars. Jeez, man.
you know how to check.
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
making
know
an
what I'm doing,
assumption.
so I'm just trying to.
One thing about my phone, the way it works, it was settings. I forgot to bring the bottle of water because I distracted with the executive session at 6.
Oh, no.
Is there any water here at all?
Well, we got the,
I didn't take a cup of water. Not me, he's not connected. What is this? He said he wasn't. Here we are, there he is.
I gotta get my car.
I don't know.
He just got out of whatever he was in.
Answer all the questions. No. It's probably about chickens.
No.
Can't have that.
That was
without
shooting.
Wi-Fi, whatever you're connected to.
Are you saying?
great,
I
thank
just
you.
got out of what you were in. I didn't do anything, to literally get out of
Have
it.
your car right now?
Yeah.
You got the magic.
You got a better deal.
Tell the- I said, "So we got
I'm
it."
about up to what you paid.
As often as this
I'm
goes
not
on.
happy about it. No, I sent the part off that arrived in Ohio.
I'm recording because we don't know it's 6 o'clock, so I gotta be ready.
All right.
For the audio? That's the steering column.
Are we waiting?
Security feature.
Yeah, we got stuck in
Yeah,
Seattle
well,
traffic.
Ah.
So,
Nothing. Carl, I don't know.
well, the city moved at 7 after.
There's no laughing at this.
So,
Do you see a laughter face right there? I see no laughter face here.
He's here, he should say this stuff.
There's not even a belly jiggling here. There's no laughter.
Can I answer the question?
I just got
things
some.
about the other items you raised, it doesn't, you know, it's just
Yeah.
old stuff that's not relevant. So,
That's what I'm saying, cider case saying, we have a clarification.
let's do that.
Listen,
Maybe
Frederick,
refer to them as text
I'm not
messages
interested in
instead of
screwing with
email.
my-
Okay,
Sticklers for details like that.
just straight in.
Yeah.
All right.
They're busting me up in here.
We didn't greet you or anything like that, just.
I kinda did in the hallway. Mrs. Anderson, are you ready?
I am ready to do roll call, yes indeed.
All right. It is 6:09. It is Monday, July 2nd, 2018. The Woodland City Council will be going into executive session. Will the clerk please take the roll on who is present this evening?
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Rounds?
Here.
Councilmember Plaza?
Here.
Councilmember Chapman?
Here.
Councilmember Humbert? Councilmember Fredericks?
Here.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Here.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. The Woodland City Council will be going into executive session in regards to labor negotiations under RCW 42.30.140, Section 4, Subsection A. Hold on. Let me back up before I get called out on the rules here. It's 6:09, and we will be in executive session for approximately, you think 30 minutes? We'll start with 30.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Right, I mean, because it's a mutual relationship, which I'm used to saying. I mean, because that's the only thing which I saw. Right, so, come back together, these applications. It's already done.
Good evening, everybody. Are you ready, Mrs. Anderson?
I am.
All right. It is 7:05. The cameras are on and rolling. We are recording. It is it's May. It's Monday, July 2nd, 2018, regular council meeting. If I could get everyone to please silence your cell phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That should actually be one. Mrs. Anderson, you please take the roll.
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Rounds?
Here.
Councilmember Chapman?
Here.
Councilmember Humbard? Councilmember Fredericks?
Here.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Here.
Ms. Humber called in this evening, and, do we get everybody, or did I start early? We're good? Okay. Ms. Humber called in this evening and stated she was unable to make it this evening.
Yes.
Okay, just check.
I think I just talked over him.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilmember Humbard.
Second.
Motion to excuse Councilmember Humbert by Councilmember Frederick, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Will the clerk please take the vote to excuse her?
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. Mrs. Humbert has been excused. We have no presentations or proclamations this evening, so we'll jump right into citizen communication for items not on the agenda. And we have Mr. Dave, is it Weech? Weech. Please step forward to the mic. I'll have you state your name and your address and give you an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes.
Is this on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is David Wetch, and my address is on 366 Shirley Gordon Road, but I'm up here to talk about 1342 Downriver Drive, which is a business park that I own. And the subject matter would be the water sewer rates. And came to my attention, can I speak now, or do you need anything
No,
else?
you're good. No, we're
Okay.
going to take notes. Sorry. Go ahead. I should have told. There won't be an interaction between yourself and council. It'll just be you and I, and we'll be taking notes while we're
Okay.
speaking. Okay.
And so my big concern is that I just came to my realization down at the city water department that the rate increase is an ongoing, no cap, 7% on water and 7% on the sewer. And that's unsustainable for a lot of people. And so I'm a single metered business park, which we've got about 5 tenants, and I give them that, we pay that as a perk, so they don't have the water sewer to worry about, and I just pay it, and God, this just keeps getting more expensive. Certain people must be using a lot more water, so I'm talking to them down at the city, and they say, oh no, it's been that way ever since I've been here, and I've been here 5 years, the gal says, and I'm going, no wonder, well, that explains a lot, and I thought, well, gee, if you start, what's it gonna be in 10 years? 70% more. How can I keep eating that? Well, how can families live in Woodland? It's gotta be capped, and I can't understand why it's not really. Or, I guess another good question would be, is there a problem that it needs to be that we're going to address later on and say, okay, now we're good, we had to build a good plant, and that took a lot of money, and now we're caught up at a certain date, and we can say no more increases. So it's my concern of myself and the city I've grown up, well, not grown up in, I've been here 25 years, but this is my town, and I'm thinking, I bet not many people even are aware of it if I haven't been. And I called up Darlene Johnson over there at Woodland Truck Lines. She's a good person of the community. And I said, hey, were you aware of that? And she said, nah, not really. I had no idea. And so I'm thinking, gee whiz, I bet you everybody's paying their water sewer bill blindly not knowing that it's automatic rate increase every year. January. I just pay the bill. I don't read any fine print or anything. I never got a notice saying this is what we've decided. And so anyway, it's out of that concern that it just keeps going up every year automatically. Doesn't even seem legal, really. I wouldn't want anything else like my sales tax automatically going up 7% every year.
I can respond to some of your concerns and let you in on what's
Okay.
happened. So
enlighten me a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'll just give you some information. So a number of years ago, there was a deficiency within the system where the city was not charging enough, and the plan was to increase those rates 7% over the course of years until they got to the point where it was sustaining itself, and we were able to maintain the water and sewer system. This year, that increase is decided by city council during every budget cycle, which happens once a year, and it takes effect in February at the beginning of each year. So right now, what we're doing a formal rate study because we've recognized that this 7% has been going up every year. It's been increasing, so we're doing a formal rate study to make sure that we're not overcharging and that we are, back to your comment of at what point is it going to stop? At what point do we get to ding that down to 2% or 3% or nothing at all for a couple of years and then do the 2 to 3%? So we are going through that process and evaluating the entire billing system when it comes to those water and sewer rates.
So there's hope inside is what
Yes,
you're
sir.
trying to tell me, huh?
That's what I'm trying to let you know. We feel your concern, we've recognized it, and we have a plan in place to try and address that.
Yeah.
Doesn't help you right now, I know, but.
Well, if I got something to look forward to, I'll be checking my bill every January or February, I guess, is the bill that comes out with the rate increase. But, it just keeps compounding
Show
and
us about-
compounding. Carol would know what compound interest is. That's what it
Okay.
basically is, compounding.
Come to the budget meeting in November, and then give the same testimony if it's being considered to increase.
In November, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be here.
All right,
You can
sounds-
count on it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You don't want to stick around?
Big concern, I got a demo on a countertop I'm doing.
All right. Drive safe, sir. Anyone else that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting for items not on the agenda? All right. For items on the agenda, no one has signed up. Now's your opportunity to step forward if you'd like to speak to items on the agenda. All right. We've come to the portion for the agenda. I'm trying to take some notes here. I don't want to tell you what to do.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Move to approve the agenda by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Benjamin,
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman,
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
All right, agenda's been approved. Oh, I lost my time. The time is now 7:13. We'll be moving into a public hearing. Resolution 698, fees and charges and as related to public records request, Resolution 698. I have no takers, but if you fail to do so, please step forward now. If you failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting to speak on Resolution 698. All right, at 7:14, we are out of a public hearing. Moving on to reports of City Council. Mr. Fredericks.
Just a question. I noticed the heavy usage of the skate park on Saturday. What does that look like on Monday? Is it a mess? Is it clean?
Specifically?
Is garbage getting to where it needs to go? I mean, I was just impressed that we had so many folks using the skate park. I thought that was really cool. But I just was curious if garbage is finding its way into the garbage receptacles and it looks good.
So far, so good.
That's excellent.
I don't want to say anything to jinx us.
That's really good.
Yes.
No, it was really good to see so many people utilizing the skate park this weekend. That's my only report.
Thank you,
More
Mr.
comments.
Fredericks. Anyone else?
I'm trying to think.
You've got nothing? All right.
Involving city things?
Yes, anything you've attended, anything you want to share, anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, there's probably lots of people to thank for things. There was a lovely golf tournament on
Yes.
Friday. Thank the Rotary Club
Perfect.
for putting that on. I'm assuming that there was a lot of good times had by all people. There was a lot of
Joking.
friendly
Yes.
conversation, let's put it that way, by people who attended. Everybody was really happy, and I think the Rotary Club did very well as having this as a annual fundraiser.
I was sorry to miss it.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
A fun event.
And I hope that maybe some of these people that attended the Rotary function will come and join us for the Chamber Golf Tournament on the 3rd?
Second.
August 2nd.
August 2nd.
August. It's close.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Graham.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Reports of standing committees. Public Works. Mrs. Rounds.
Yes, we had a meeting this evening, and on the water, we have historically had an average of 12% difference in the amount of the water that we make versus what we sell, and we have reduced that to 2% error by replacing meters and updating our reads and fixing water leak on Sherman Way. The lift station for sewer just received the pump this week to schedule replacement for that. The jet rod truck and trailer, Dennis is still waiting to hear back on the price and to follow up on that. Internship position, intern updating maps as built water and sewer using GPS system to map stormwater, numbering fire hydrants, and going to start in on the street lights. Sewer, we had a plug up on Howard Way in front of precast concrete. City of Vancouver had to come out and use a jet rod the line for us. Westcott Avenue, we are in the midst of writing up a grant for a sidewalk crossing at Westcott Avenue, and hope to have that submitted by the end of the month. Raised sidewalks, the city sidewalk survey done the 26th through the 28th. Our insurance company, and we will use this information towards an ADA transportation or transition plan to be used for the grant application. This will cost around $50K to write for the citywide revised, received an 80 to 95% on everything citywide. only took 1.5 days to walk versus 3 days. Training, Tracy, Ms. Coleman, and Mr. Jenkins obtained flagger certification, and Utility, we have accomplished repainting 100% of the hydrants in the city. Potholes, we have patched Hoffman, and they thought there might have been a sewer leak, but they had a camera down there and everything's fine, so they finished that. Planners Day went off without a hitch, and we continue to sweep streets on east and west side through mid-month, and continues on throughout, curb painting continues on throughout downtown. Facilities, open house on the fire station is on the 14th, and they're moving the old flagpole from the old location to the new location also. Parking lots, they're all painted and looking good. Gorig Park, we continue to paint graffiti at the bridge and around town. We've placed new lights at the park to help detour graffiti. Roundabout will continue to be weeded by jail crew next week. And on grants, the RCO revising the PowerPoint presentation per their recommendation for final presentation in August will be submitted by tomorrow. What lots to talk about. And I think I'll let Tracy finish with the rest of it.
All right. Public safety.
What was purchased for lift station number 5?
A pump. It was lift station number 4. Not 5.
Number 5's being, about to be worked on, correct?
Yeah,
We're
number
about to-
5, number 5 is in the report, we're looking at signing a contract to modify lift station number 5, to upgrade it.
Action
Lift
change
station number 4 was just a
Right,
pump
okay.
that needed to be replaced.
It was lift station 4. I didn't hear
Correct.
4, I heard 5, so, okay.
Yeah, it was 4.
Was it me?
Correct.
I don't remember. Maybe in my mind I heard 5.
Were you thinking that we spent the money and now we're asking for approval?
I would
I
not-
know what you're thinking,
I would
Mr.
not
Frederick.
jump on anything.
I'm on to you. Any other
I've outlined it
questions?
specifically, number 4.
Not yet.
All right, any other questions for Mrs. Rounds? Did you, oh, I thought you were answering. All right, public safety.
Since Mrs. Humberg is not here, I will make the report. The Public Safety Committee met on June 18th, called to order at 4:30. Some new business we discussed was Chief Jackson provided a fire department update, gave some Planners Day issue updates, informed the committee there were only a few calls for minor medical emergencies, and other than those minor calls, there were no other problems. Chief Jackson also informed the committee of the upcoming open house for the fire department that'll take place on the 14th of July at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The fire department will partner with the PD for a public safety day. There's going to be flyers distributed. Those were distributed during Planners Days, and there's going to be some follow-up things with both our Facebook pages, the PD and the fire department. Councilmember Humberg asked about the VFW's post participation to post the colors of the new station, and there's some logistics going on with that. Should be updated. The intern is doing a great job on coordinating all the festivities. So Chief Jackson also discussed some rumors of the duty fire crew not being in town all the time. So we kind of decided that it's probably because people are used to seeing them downtown, they don't realize they've moved over to the new house, so those people are not familiar with what we got going on this side of the neighborhood versus what used to happen over there. So that's probably just something that people just need to get used to. And that was Chief Jackson's update, the police department update. I informed the committee of the recent personnel changes within the department. Informed the committee that Officer Gibbs left for the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office, and Officer Uminski resigned from service with the City of Woodland. Also provided the committee with an update that we did a successful transition to our new weapons, and my truck should be getting fixed this week. So, and no old business was discussed. The meeting was adjourned at 4:48 PM, and the next meeting will be July 16th at 4:30 PM.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for Chief Kelly?
What?
No, I thought maybe there was a question coming.
No,
Pass?
I'll pass on the truck question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This
I
was-
wasn't in it.
This time? Second time?
No, this was only the first incident
Oh,
with the
first
truck.
incident.
First, I love how you.
The other was the car.
Okay.
First
The
incident
other one
with
was
the
the
truck.
car, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
I'm trying to keep
Yeah.
track. That's
Car,
okay.
smaller vehicle,
Yeah,
yeah.
got it.
I will come to the chief's defense of this, that neither one of these situations, he was not at fault. He was, I'm just saying, it just happened to be by circumstance.
And that's written down somewhere, I'm sure.
I'm sure, right here, right here. All right, seeing no questions for Chief Kelly, Human Resources. Mr. Benjamin.
We also met on June 18th. We discussed that the mayor and the staff were preparing for negotiations for both the clerk and the Public Works Teamsters. We talked about security at City Hall, and Councilmember Fredericks requested that the staff consider panic buttons in the city council chambers. As was mentioned, there are currently 2 police officer vacancies, and the staff is moving forward to fill those positions. Also, previously mentioned, we have a new, Public Works has a temporary engineering intern that'll be on staff throughout the summer, and the hiring for the utility service worker 1 position has been filled. Then we adjourned, and our next meeting will also be July 16th.
Questions for Mr. Benjamin? And thank you for taking on the role of chairing that committee.
Sure.
All right, seeing no questions. Reports of city officers. I'll go first. Chamber update. Who would like, I don't have one, but I figured that my partners up here on the desk could provide one for us.
Tomorrow,
George Rader.
George Rader is going to be there with, talking about the landfill. So that should be a good thing. The last week, we had the company that was looking to purchase it talk. So it should be a good meeting.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Nothing that I can...
Lunchtime at the Oak Tree?
Yes, lunch at the Oak Tree at noon tomorrow.
And the Open Up event has been rescheduled for the 10th of August.
Right.
And so has Hot Summer Nights extended to that weekend, so hopefully we will have a bigger crowd downtown to visit the
walk
businesses and whatnot.
How was Elvis?
He was wonderful, a different program than the other program. He had a band with him this time.
Oh, really?
Yes. And he has followers that came from Vancouver and Portland.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That would have been something to share at the reports of City Council.
Well, I will do better about taking notes on that part.
That's all right. I'm just giving you a hard time, Mrs.
I
Graham.
know.
But it was good.
That's okay. Well, then, so he will be performing August the 10th again, but it will be a Neil Diamond tribute rather than Elvis, and he is also bringing a Roy Orbison tribute person to sing,
Okay.
perform with him.
So I was confused. I thought he was going to do both.
No.
No, so it's him and
It's
somebody
two
else.
people,
Two
yes.
people. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
That,
So, he does a good job.
yeah, he does do a good job.
You want to see video and pictures? I have them, so.
We may have some as well.
Yeah.
The chief and I may have some as well.
Yes.
Mr. Fredericks?
Maybe 1 or 2.
Maybe 1 or 2, yes.
Do you want to, can I explain why?
Yes, please.
They have pictures. He was entertainment at my surprise birthday party, so that's why they're giving me a bad time about it.
He was great, though. He was
He was
phenomenal.
good.
He was
He
pretty
was
awesome.
good.
He was pretty
Very
awesome.
good.
All right, thank you. AWC City Vision article. Now, Ms. Coleman put us in for recognition. Let's see if I get this right. Put us in for recognition to the AWC for a program. We were not selected, but we were featured. Did I get that part right, the setup right? So that article is out, and Woodland Make a Difference Day is featured in the AWC City Vision magazine this month, which is very exciting that we're being highlighted for all the wonderful work that our citizens and our Public Works Department does, and the entire city coming together to help out one another. So if you get an opportunity, I can pass that out at some point. We can get it into your box so you can read it. It's a good read. So thank you, Ms. Coleman, for doing that. But we are in the running for something next year, is what I heard.
I'm applying for another one next year.
There we go.
Will be recognized eventually.
Okay. I was inducted into Rotary last Monday. Very exciting. I got my little pin and wear it proudly. So thank you to Rotary of Woodland for taking me on, and I wasn't voted off the island, so that was good. Thank you very much. Golfed in the Rotary tournament on Friday. I had a wonderful team that included Chief Kelly and his two sons, or two of his sons, I should say. He's got another one. Great getting to know them and Chief Kelly. I know we've golfed before, but it's good to get out of the office and get out there and get to know each other better, so that's awesome. Had a good time. We did not win. We came in third. We did come in third. He's laughing. He almost killed me. He flung me out of the car at one point. I don't know what happened. And all I heard yelling from the background was, "You're not my mayor," and he threw it. But I'm okay. I'm okay. I only have a little hitch in my giddy up now, but I'm fine. Movies in the park. Miss Coleman, thank you for setting that up. Little Liam and I attended the first one, the Lego Batman. Wonderful turnout. How many people do you think were there?
We had over 50, not including Public Works staff.
That's awesome. And there was a big showing from the staff as well that showed up, which was awesome to see them there. And Mr. Rip's already gone home, but I think his granddaughter is his granddaughter there. Yeah. So that was awesome. I loved it. I hope that more people come out this Thursday for the next one. What's this Thursday's movie?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, sponsored by Woodland Care Center.
Yes, and in honor of the new Mary Poppins that's coming out.
Awesome. It's wonderful to see the businesses in town come together and help us put that on. So well done, well executed, and I look forward to Thursday as well. I was gone for a week, so I was off doing something else. So all this was done last week. I'd like council to mark their calendars for July 30th. We'll be having our first budget workshop. It's a fifth Monday of this month, if you can make it. It's a Monday. We would like to have a discussion with you on expectations as we're preparing, and also any extras that you're hoping to throw in there, any programs that you are wanting to see taken care of. So,
What time will that be?
6? Can we do 6, or would you prefer 7? 6 would be good. Yeah. 6 o'clock here in council chambers on the 30th. It'll just be a workshop. I'd like to recognize Michelle Bond and her team. I know she's not here this evening, but they have done a fantastic job of painting and cleaning up downtown. I know Erica Rodman's been involved with that as well. Last I heard, they have 2 more buildings to do. So the property owners in downtown have gotten together, and they are allowing Mrs. Bond to come through, and she's been painting and planting flowers and cleaning windows and pressure washing along with others as they could help. And it's made a huge difference. I think it's made a huge difference. And so it sounds like she's got 2 buildings left to go, and I don't know what her next project will be, but I know she's doing it out of the kindness of her heart, and we appreciate it. I'd also like to recognize support for the traffic triangle that is down there on the west side of town. It is looking amazing. I drove by the other day and noticed how clean it was, and flowers are blooming. So again, another wonderful community partner here. Now that we've done that, let's talk about something horrible, and that would be the graffiti that is running rampant through our town at this time. The chief and Ms. Coleman are on it trying to locate the individuals responsible for this, and this is not something that is isolated to one area of town, and I'm actually quite embarrassed that we have folks that live in our community that want to muck it up in the way that they are, but it appears that we are spending a lot of time and a lot of hours every single day, I found out this afternoon, going through and cleaning up this disgraceful act. So I encourage everyone to talk with your children and your young adults and make sure if it is them that you have a nice long conversation with them not to do it. Please, it costs us time and money and takes our focus away from the things that are really important, which is moving our city forward and making sure that work is getting done and not going through and cleaning up all the time. One of the buildings in downtown was hit about 3 days after Mrs. Bond finished painting it, which did not make me very happy. So, anyway, please have talk with the young folks here in town. We have a feeling that's who it is. I'm not trying to throw out the demographic, but it could be an adult as well. But if you see it, report it, and hopefully we can put an end to this soon. Questions for me? Mr. Fredericks?
Is it possible on the workshop, is that a full workshop?
Mr. Boyce?
Can be a full workshop, yes.
When I say full workshop, do you have 2 hours worth of, it sounds like what we're going to be bringing to the table for consideration.
You will have an update on the status of the city's finances up to date. We'll make that presentation, and there will be some projections about what's to come in 2019. Past that point, we'll be asking City Council for wants, needs, ideas for the 2019 budget process.
Okay. Can we add something to it? Without objection, what I'd like to add is a current review of our fireworks ordinance.
Okay.
Unless there's an objection, then we can.
Which part of it? Not the fireworks stance or the use of?
Use of.
Use of.
Specifically.
Right. You'd like to add that to
The agenda.
to the
Yeah,
agenda?
I'd
So
like
you want to talk about budget
I'd
and
like
also you want to talk about fireworks?
Exactly. I'd like
Okay.
to review what our current use ordinance is for
Okay.
fireworks. And have a discussion regarding those.
Chief Kelly?
If I may, sir.
Yes. We just talked about this.
The Public Safety Committee will be discussing that this month. So maybe we'll have a little bit more information for you, Mr. Fredericks, because throw that around just exactly the thing you talked about, sale, use, and other stuff.
Okay. If it's already in committee and it's being worked on, we can wait.
Well, but maybe the committee might have a little bit of, members of the council that are on the committee will have a little bit of information to add to that. Or if we just want to focus on the budget, we might be able to make a decision on that prior to your meeting or further down the calendar.
Do we have something set for action for the 19th on the fireworks?
No.
No, okay. We
only-
talked about it.
Right, we discussed sending it to the committee first.
Okay.
Before we move forward with the council decision.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you on public safety?
I am no longer on public safety.
Okay. Well, we can bring it forward for discussion, and the three members that are on public safety can divulge their information and their knowledge at the 30th.
Unless we want to add it to the agenda on the 16th.
Or do you want to add it to the agenda on the 16th for discussion?
Well, we should find out what we've got
that's a
to
good
say
idea.
in the public safety meeting, and if we think it needs to be pulled forward at that point, then we can bring that forward at the
Okay.
next council meeting.
All right. Keep in mind, any decisions that are made on fireworks take place 365 days after something's been passed. So we will not be able to hit the July 4th of 2019 with any changes. It will be status quo next year is what is in place now. And I'm just throwing that out there so everyone's aware of it. So that's that. Okay. You satisfied with that? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Other questions for myself? All right. Mr. Boyce.
Okay, August 4th, the community garage sale, we found out it's sponsored by the Presbyterian Church. Just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
There were a couple items Mrs. Graham brought up. The DWR is adding, extending hot summer nights to the 10th, so I want to make sure that was out there. Administratively, we're still moving forward with the Police Association on contract negotiations. As brought up before, we're preparing for the Teamster contract negotiations, both clerical and public works. And all of my items, everyone has ticked off. We're preparing for a July 30th budget workshop. There we go.
Sorry.
No, it's good. We've recently provided our quarterly report to Labor and Industries regarding the settlement agreements with the wastewater treatment plant violations. from quite a while back. We're getting close to finishing up with all of our requirements. There's a few more training items that have to happen, and then I think we'll be through that. We're also participating in the census local update of addresses. It's called the LUCA program. We've been reviewing information from the census and making sure their information is accurate. Again, trying to get an accurate count come census time. And we talked about the rate study. Again, another box that's ticked off. The RFP is out. We're working on that. In talking with the Public Works Director, we finally came down on doing the sewer rate study first. The water plan that's being done this current fiscal year also requires a rate study as part of the water plan. So we'll have the sewer rates separately, and when the water plan is complete, we'll have the water rate evaluation. So that's going forward. That's all I have at this time.
Questions for Mr. Boyce? Okay. Mr. Randolph?
Nothing to report, sir.
Questions for Mr. Randolph? Mrs. Anderson?
Clerk Treasurer's Department, kudos to the Woodland High School girls softball team on the state championship. We prepared documents and the council adopted a resolution presented to the team of representatives. The 2018 Day Planners Day, Queen Sammy Rip. Thank you and kudos to Jessica Hartman, Lori Cash, and Audrey DeBilling for their extra efforts in processing all the documents, organization, coordination, and recognitions related to 2018 Planners Day. Some accomplishments: the Transportation Benefit District. The staff has prepared the documents relating to the TBD assumption of powers. Some communication and social media things. We have the We Want to Dock on the website. Transportation open house and meetings. Movies in the Park is on the website. Hot Summer Nights is on the website. It sounds like we need to change it because it's been extended. We're working on the meeting decision tracker to implement and train for reporting to the mayor and all the council. Boards and commissions. All the ads were placed, and we filled the vacant positions for the Planning Commission, the Park Board, Civil Service Commission, Council position number 7. We have onboarded Mike Benjamin, Council position number 7. Personnel policy, we're reviewing for upcoming changes, including sick leave and part-time employees, policy on exempt salary procedure, payroll, the total cost of compensation reports. The payroll clerk has completed the reports. The clerk treasurer is reviewing them and will distribute them to the employees. A report will be made to the HR committee too. Risk management and claims for damages. We have processed claims for the police chief's pickup, the York trip and fall. We've coordinated with CIAW, Clear Risk Solutions, for the sidewalk and city facility risk management survey, which you heard about earlier. It was completed the end of June, and the report is pending. A really good report. And we've also processed code amendment ordinance relating to the garbage accumulation / nuisance. Secretary of State local records grant application. Met with the archivist in June to discuss the second round of applications that are due in late July. She gave us some good ideas. IT and implementation. The City Hall server migration is complete, and the fixed asset module has been installed. And you have a whole list of bids, quotes, and projects that are currently working on. I think that's another page there. Yes. First aid CPR training was conducted for staff. There were 2 sessions held, and special events. So we process all the Planners Day events for the fireworks, the city facilities, the parade, the carnival, everything involved. We have applications for the July 6th to 8th event by the Promise Church at Horseshoe Lake, the block party, the street closure on Willow, all the way on July 4th, and the block party street closure on Windflower. Contact on August 11th. Have any questions?
Questions for Mrs. Anderson? Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
there was one item I forgot to mention. Concerns consent item D, the street closure request at 4731 Flower Drive.
Yes.
We had a call today from the applicant who wanted to change the date from August 11th to August 25th. So I wanted to make city council aware of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Chief Kelly.
Beginning of the month, or beginning of June, I presented a couple of certificates of appreciation to a couple of students that are in the Partners in Transition program. We've had students from the that high school program come in and help us with cleaning the office and that type of stuff. And I presented 2 certificates there. I attended the Waspik Law Enforcement CEO training, 2 days, covered leadership and budget, some other miscellaneous things. The Planners Day, other than a few minor issues, Planners Day was great. The PD guys did an outstanding job. Kudos to our reserve program. Our only reserve officer, Officer Fedora, did a fantastic job. He's always willing to help out. And we also partnered with the Sheriff's Office Reserve Program. We had 5 deputies, reserve deputies down here helping out. We also had our local DOC officer here to help us out, and he also gathered some intelligence on some people walking around the park and just folks to keep an eye out on. We had 2 officers go to the high school graduation to kind of be a presence there. Officer Kelly and Officer Swainson were present for graduation. The personnel issues I talked about during the public safety presentation. And the good news is we did some interviews last Thursday on June 28th, and we'll have some entry-level candidates shortly. So hopefully we'll be able to get a couple of people committed to us. And we're still taking lateral entry applications as well.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Kelly? All right. Thank you very much. Chief Knorr.
Thank you. I will repeat it one more time, just so everybody knows that July 14th is the date for the Public Safety Open House at the new fire station next door, being joined by the police and several other agencies. We have hosting booths there. A Life Flight helicopter will be there unless it is called away for another incident. We've got booth space there for Fire District 1, so they give information about volunteering for folks that may live outside the city area. And so a lot of things going on there. Looking forward to that. The gentlemen are transitioning into the firefighters are transitioning well into the fire station and working out some kinks in it, as you always have anytime you get into a new building. We had excellent turnout at Planters Day. 1,300 pounds of beef donated by Walt's Meats and the buns from Burgerville and several other donations. We were sold out by 1:30. To everybody that didn't get a sandwich, I apologize. To everybody who did, it was a meal and a sandwich there. We had some fire cadets helping us with portion control, and they were putting together some big sandwiches there. So appreciate that. I want to thank Public Works for the work they've done on the hydrants in the city here. Hydrants are critical to us being able to do our job to access water. To be able to see them at night, or this time of year, what's really prevalent is they get hidden behind weeds. The grass gets tall, and we don't know where they're at. We have a spot on the map that says the treasure is somewhere close by, but if we can't see it, we don't know. So thank you for the work on that. On June 24th, we responded as mutual aid in Kalama, Fire District 5. There, they had a significant house fire there, and 5 units from CCFR went to assist with that. 2 water tenders, Tower 29 from here in Woodland, and Ninja 23 from the center. And it's pretty common to have mutual aid with our partners. If somebody needs a little extra help, we give it to them. When we need help, they give it to us. That was a little bit more than we generally get for a little bit longer period of time, which is more than is generally asked for. We try to give what we can when we can. But as part of that, our mutual aid partners continue to move. So we moved the unit from the Ridgefield station here into Woodland because they already work here regularly and we're familiar with it. And then Clark County 6, which is Hazeldale, Salmon Creek, moved a unit up to our main station for a period of time there. So it all worked out and we're able to help our neighbors and cover it well. So that's all I have at this time. I do want to make mention, it did not happen in Woodland, but it did happen in Ridgefield last month. We had a fire in a townhouse that was a kitchen fire. Had 4 people sleeping upstairs at the time that the fire happened. That fire was completely extinguished with one fire sprinkler head in the kitchen. So as the fire chief, I feel like I need to advocate for fire sprinklers whenever we can and point out that those can make a difference in saving property and saving lives. And I know that we have some properties here in Woodland, some residential properties that are also sprinkled, and they've made a difference here also. They usually don't make the news as much as a big fire might make the news, but they really make a difference in people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I have some questions. Is there a plan for 4th of July here, or you have extra folks on staff or anything?
We do actually have extra staff. So, we have five staff units in the district every day. And then on the 4th of July, we add one extra staff unit into one of our light brush units, and they roam the district to help cover in all 3 cities and in the unincorporated area. But if something flares up somewhere, they're kind of a roaming unit to go around and back them up or to be in their quarters while they're cleaning up a fire. We do see a significant uptick in brush fires, grass fires that sometimes extend into structure fires, fireworks that roll down a roof and into a gutter that may have some debris in it, and pretty soon you have an attic fire. And so it is our busiest fire week of the year, the busiest fire day of the year. May was so dry that our fire season started early. We've gotten a little bit of a reprieve the last few weeks, and going into the 4th of July, if the weather holds as it is now, only the lightest fuels, the grasses, take off quickly. Hopefully we can maybe get one rainstorm before the 4th. That always makes me a little less nervous. But yes, we will have extra staff on duty until approximately midnight, unless we feel that it's getting too busy or it's staying too busy out there. We'll keep them on later if we need to, an overtime period.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then also the time on July 14th. Do you know the time of the open house?
It is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
10 to 2? And
That's 1,000 hours to 1,400 hours for me and the chief.
I think I said that.
Did you?
Pretty sure I did.
I'm sorry, Chief, I missed that. Thank you for clarifying that you both are on the same page. And then the decommissioning of the fire station in downtown, what time is that happening?
I will get that to you. I don't have an exact time, Tracy. You were the movement of the. Are you talking about the movement of the flagpole?
Yeah, all of it. There's a ceremony that's taking place there, and then there's going to be the movement of the pole.
The movement of the flagpole is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday.
No, you're doing that. I'm sorry, the pole or the flag itself. There'll be a ceremony. and
Right.
that's
I just wanted to give him a heads up because I didn't know that if he knew that, but it would be different than the decommissioning of the fire
Okay.
station. Correct.
So there's 2 events taking place that day. Okay. If we can get the times on the other one.
I will.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for Chief Knorr? Mr. Fredericks.
The mutual aid thing, I think, is a really good thing for our community, because in the past, if we would go provide mutual aid, there was no backfill. Nobody backfilled anything, which in turn led to increased response times, because then we were hoping for mutual aid from somebody else, which was usually, I think Calex One would come and help us if we needed it, or vice versa. But having that where you can move units around like that is such a huge thing for our community, that I think people don't realize that. And so I appreciate you mentioning that in your report.
Any other comments or questions for Chief Knorr? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Mr. Goddard.
So, we've had a busy month. We got the boundary line adjustment for the Hanson Motel site, which is the future Dutch Brothers site, was approved and recorded. They pulled 9 demolition permits to remove all of the buildings on that property, so we will see those come down and hopefully sooner than later, but they have up to 180 days to actually remove those structures. They have submitted a preliminary site plan for the Dutch Brothers where the 2 houses are, so it's not on the Hanson Hotel site, but the lot immediately behind that, their new adjusted lot. So that's been submitted. It's not fully complete, but they're working on finalizing their plans and their transportation work. They, Beyond RV received preliminary approval, and it subsequently, as of Friday, was appealed. So it looks like they want to have a conversation about their impact fees, but I'm still working with their engineer to find out exactly what their specific appeal issue, and whether we'll be able to solve that issue without actually having to go to the drainage examiner for an appeal on that. So I'll give you an update that probably in a couple weeks. We'll have more information. So the good news is we got 2 big projects ticked off. The bad news is, or the other good news is, we have 8 new projects that have come in the door in the last 30 days. So we've got 4 new pre-application conferences, a gas station, an industrial building, 2 on short plat, and Ace Hardware is planning a garden expansion at their location on Bruce River Road, next to the Fat Moose. So we'll be looking at that in the next few days. Atlas Plumbing is looking to expand their business on Scott and Dial Road. Or sorry, I think it's Pekin and Scott. The Trailer Depot, which is up across from the Taco Bell, we should have their decision issued this week. Try to get some time to concentrate on it. I'll get to that probably Thursday. We also have the ports, industrial port number 1 and number 2 have all been submitted. So we'll be working with them to make sure they're fully complete and get those reviewed hopefully in July. So a lot of new applications coming in, so it seems to be heating up as opposed to turning into more construction-related applications. So we're getting busy. I had 2 planning commission meetings in June because we did not have one in May. The first one, June 11th, the planning commission reviewed the wireless communication facilities ordinance and they recommended approval, and that will be brought to you for review or workshop, I believe it is, on the 18th, which is, the 16th. 2 weeks from today. And the second meeting was June 25th, and we had started our residential construction to talk about comprehensive plan and zoning for residential development in the city. We actually had a consultant from Vancouver who does some multifamily projects come talk to us about some of the considerations for multifamily development, what they look for on a property, what kind of considerations they have. And a lot of that had to do with hurdles or problems with code that kind of interfere with effectively designing projects and getting something built. So it was an extremely interesting conversation. We also had a representative in the audience from Aho Homes who was talking about kind of the single-family side of the equation and what they kind of look for on individual properties for development. So it was a generic conversation, and the Planning Commission asked me to look into some more residential zoning options, how to make our zoning scalable so a small lot could get more than, say, a 2-lot subdivision, how to leverage that, how to get more units on smaller lots. So infill essentially is what we're talking about. So both of the consultants who were in the audience said that they would help you find the code that they've worked with and what was helpful. So we'll bring that back at our July 19th Planning Commission, which is our next Planning Commission meeting in a couple weeks. I also have an update on population. I actually should have said this last month because it was actually adopted and published last month. but the Office of Financial Management released its 2018 population, 2017-2018 population projections, or, sorry, calculations. And the city of Woodland grew by 170 in its population. So it went from 6,035 to 6,205. So that's 170 additional residents, and that's a growth rate of 2.5. The Calais County calculation, the entire county, grew by 140 people at a rate of 1.33. So it's almost half what the city was growing. And Clark County added 8,500 residents at a growth rate of 1.8. So we are growing at a rate that's faster than both counties, almost combined when you look at percentage. But total numbers, Clark County added 120% of the population of Woodland last year alone. So to kind of give you some scale on that. And the last thing I wanted to point out, or to give you a heads up on, and that is I am working on created a case in our permitting system for floodplain permits. Currently, what happens is when you apply for a building permit, you pay a floodplain review fee, which goes into the building case, and the documentation for the floodplain review currently goes into the building file. But building files are purged after a certain amount of time, and because of structural concerns I have, we're creating a separate permit so that we can track the exact same information, only it will be in an independent case so that we can search for it and find it without having to go through building files. And I have some concern about past building file practices because they purged the plans for the actual individual buildings. So we still have a file that says a permit was issued 20 years ago, but we don't necessarily have the information that's contained in that file. My long-term concern is some of the floodplain information may end up being purged accidentally over the years or in the future. So I prefer to create something that allows us to track it independently. And the reason why that's important is I completed floodplain training with FEMA over in Spokane, and they brought up some issues that I think may potentially be problematic for us if we don't start tracking, if we don't go back and kind of recreate some of the information that we had in a way that's trackable. And so I am working with FEMA to do what they call a community assistance visit. It's kind of the opportunity for a community to invite FEMA in, help look at our records, and figure out what we can do to improve our record keeping and our emergency management process, so that if there is a flood, when FEMA responds and the volunteers that come along with FEMA, that we'll be able to streamline our claims and our assistance process, because we know where the information is kept, and it's kept in an order that doesn't require us to fix it and then present it to them so that they can handle the claims. It'll make sure that we're ready to respond quickly to an emergency when it occurs. So that's it for community development.
All right. Questions for Mr. Goddard?
Sounds like you're busy.
And it's nice to see the construction back in swing down here at the RV section.
I have some questions about that just because I haven't been in the office. You said that they appealed so we made a decision and that was issued. And they're appealing the decision based on information that was in there or just on the impact fees alone?
As far as I can tell, their concern is about the impact fees alone.
Okay.
If they have additional concerns, I don't know exactly what those are.
Were the impact fees a surprise, or did they realize that they were coming?
No, we had a previous discussion about frontage improvements and impact fees, and we laid out a couple options. One of them included a developer's agreement for them to postpone payment of the impact fees. that they would be able to postpone it until either Cherry Blossom was sold or a future back part of the property. They've applied for it to have a comprehensive plan amendment to high-density residential, and that will have to have access to Atlantic. So if Cherry Blossom is ever built out to Atlantic, that they would be able to apply those funds towards the improvement of the road. So they might never actually have to pay the city funds, that they would be able to spend that on a road frontage that's in front of their building instead of going into a pot to be spent somewhere else in town.
Gotcha. Almost like a credit.
Yes.
Okay. We're giving them credit. Okay. I was going to ask a follow-up question to that. But how do you know about how big the project is, dollar-wise?
I believe the building is about $7 million, and
wow.
the site development is about $3.5 million.
So about a little over $10 million project. In relation to the impact fees, what's the dollar figure?
About $69,000 and
Oh.
change.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Goddard. I appreciate that. Questions for Mr. Goddard? Sorry. Like I said, I was gone for a while. All right. Thank you, Mr. Goddard. Ms. Coleman.
Ready?
Oh, geez. Buckle up. Here we go.
Okay, well, everybody has seen there's a dock down at Horseshoe Lake. And my sincere appreciation and thanks to Topper Industries, who worked with the city and partnered with us in order to get that dock down there in a timely fashion. And as everybody is aware, have not charged us for the dock. Did it out of a courtesy understanding that we would have a year to pay them for that dock. And the dock is going to need to be updated for ADA accessibility, and that's part of my RCO grant presentation that'll be in August. So just kind of a heads up to that, and a thank you to Topper Industries. I asked for the art classes at the middle school and the high school to submit drawings to us for artwork to go on the underpass in Woodland. So if you're leaving Woodland and you go to exit 21, or if you're coming off exit 21, you're going into Woodland, we're looking for artwork to go on the overpass there. You go under it, but the overpass for if you're on I-5. Anyway, so depending on where you're at. So we haven't received anything to date. We have some alternative drawings that are coming in, but I encourage anybody who is watching this, if they have any artwork that they'd like to submit or have any ideas, to please bring it to the Public Works Office at any given time, or give us a contact, 360-225-7999, and we'd be more than happy to look at your artwork. We did have movies in the park. The very first movies in the park this last Friday. It was absolutely wonderful. I went there, I watched the movie the night before, and I watched it again the next night. And it was great. We had a fireworks show going on at the same time. It was unknown to myself. But the thing is, it all worked out great. It actually was a benefit. We had some great fireworks in the background. We were able to have them set up at the other side of the park. So there were fireworks going in the background. It wasn't too loud. The speakers were coming towards us. I thought it was a wonderful adventure. And so my big thanks to Fiber Federal Credit Union, who came there and handed out freebies for the kids, glow necklaces, lanterns, candy. We also had a free raffle for 5 gift baskets, so all families that showed up in the park, we handed them out free tickets. And then we had 5 movie gift baskets that we gave them that had popcorn, water, red wine, licorice, and chocolate, of course, in those baskets. And so we had 5 drawings, free drawings, and we handed those out, and that was very successful. And so I thank Fiber Federal for that first movie sponsorship. And then again, this coming week, this Thursday, we have Mary Poppins that's going to be showing at the Woodland Care, and Woodland Care Center is sponsoring that. And that's on July 5th, and it'll start between 8:45 and 9:15. And then the following week, we have Big Hero 6, which the Woodland Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring for us. So I encourage everybody to come see the movie. It's wonderful.
Yes.
All right, next we have Washington State Department of Health did a sanitary sewer audit for us this last year. And there were 2 items of significant findings that we had outstanding. And so we have completed all those, and we have a clean slate, so everything's good there with our sanitary sewer audit, so that's wonderful. Lift station number 5, we received the RFPs for lift station number 5. They came in at a great cost, I'm happy to report. And so we will be issuing, I'm hoping council approves the contract tonight. It's in the council packet to go ahead and issue that contract award to the contractor. My thanks to the fire department, because with the fire hydrants that we needed to find and locate, there were some that we went to the fire department and said, hey, we see that these hydrants aren't in a certain location as far as they need to be rotated for easier access. The fire department has worked with us to show us which way they'd like them rotated. And then to the intern that has gone out and labeled all of them, they've put the reflective markers on there so you can see them at night. So we have reflective markers on the hydrants, which will be easier for the fire department to see as well. So, and then we have a map that shows them exactly the numbers and where those hydrants are now. They're even more mapped with the GPS system. So my thanks to the fire department for helping us decide which way to rotate them and working with the business owners to get them uncovered. Okay, let's see. What else I have here? So our general sewer plan, this is also on the council packet for tonight. We actually have a general sewer plan that we need to update, and part of that general sewer plan, we had to have a mixed zone study done, and that mixed zone that study has to be done when it's low river. So we have a request for qualifications that we sent out, and mixed zone is the one that we want to award that to, and this is mandatory that we have this done before the end of the year and submit to David Knight at the Department of Ecology. So just to give you guys a heads up on there, we've had some great conversations with the Department of Ecology and Mixon, the contractor that we would like to hire, and I think we're going to be ready to rock and roll and get this done pretty quickly and under budget moving forward. Okay, in regards to the CDBG funds, I am going to go back and do a presentation on August 13. It is a revised presentation for those funds. And so I'm looking forward to giving that presentation, that PowerPoint presentation. We have an ADA transition plan that I shared at the last council meeting that I'm working on, which is critical for grant applications to give us a point system. You know how we're all scored on a point system. And that ADA transition plan is going to cost us about $50,000 to have done, but what it gets you in the long run are higher points in the grant applications that you apply for. So part of that, what I wanted to say is, I wanted to stress is I had a call this last week from somebody who could not make it at the council meeting tonight, and she is a past resident of Woodland of nearly 20 years, and now she still works in Woodland but lives in a different city. And this last week she came up, and at the intersection where the Dollar Tree is, so it would be Davidson and Garrick, right about where it turns right there at US Bank and Keeper and Dollar Tree. So, Bozarth, thank you very much. There was somebody that had crossed the road in a wheelchair and they could not get up on the ramp. We have a wheelchair ramp and it is not to current standards. And they were crying in their wheelchair, and so she got out of her car and helped push the person up on the sidewalk. So I just want to state how critical it is that we go out for these dollars and update our city to make it ADA accessible. We also had a situation in the park where we had somebody in a wheelchair that wanted to use the fishing dock and really didn't have access down to that fishing dock. And like I said, that's what we're going for, to improve our city for to make it ADA accessible. So just wanted to share that it's critical that we get the transition plan done, we go for these grant dollars, and try to make our city more friendly for those that are less fortunate than we are. I'm going to try to move fast here. So we submitted a grant to the Port of Woodland, and that was to help make Hoffman Park more ADA accessible, and also to meet current guidelines for park playgrounds. So there are engineered wood fiber chips, and there's certain borders that are required now at playgrounds. And so we submitted a application to the Port of Woodland, and I'll be presenting on August 3rd for that grant application, so to give you guys a heads up on that. At Embassy Park Wetland, we had 13 trees that were required to be removed from our park survey from our insurance group this last year. Well, actually, it was from 2016. They didn't get it done last year, so we actually just completed that 2 weeks ago. So that's been completed per our insurance recommendation. New industrial park, we received our RFQs for the industrial park feasibility. We received requests from 3 companies, and Pete and I will be going over those the end of this month to decide who we'd like to award that to based on the qualifications and what we see came back. Almost done. We received grant dollars from Frank L. and Arlene G. Price to be able to purchase the old flagpole from the flagpole from the old post office. So they're going to be presenting us a check at the next council meeting for that, and we'll be able to purchase that flagpole to go on City Hall.
So the flagpole is of historical significance, and that was the reasoning behind the dollars coming forward to buy that, which I'm very excited about. Thank you for doing that.
Where is it going to go?
It's going to go on City Hall. The current owner of the post office no longer wanted the flagpole, and we moved it from the outside of the old post office in downtown. So,
It's going to be nice.
for now, yeah. If we move it, I'm assuming we'll take it with us.
We will take it with us.
Okay.
Yes, it has historical significance to the city of Woodland. The foundation that gives out that money helps purchase items of historical significance for the Cowlitz County area. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Questions for Ms. Coleman?
Great reports.
Good reports. They're working. They're working.
Busy.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Ms. Coleman. I do have just a couple more things that I forgot. The fireworks display. Thank you for bringing that up. Because somebody brought it up to myself and I believe to the chief as well. That was a beautiful display of
And Chief Jackson.
Oh, and Chief Jackson, yes, thank you. A beautiful display of patriotic significance. But apparently it was a full-on show. I thought it was just children up there lighting off fireworks, and apparently whoever was out. JJ, were you out there?
No, I was not.
Oh, we were told that they had a permit from the city to hold that display, and I just want to make it clear that we had no idea that display was happening. So,
I was on site, and they approached myself and said that they had spoken to City Hall, multiple females in the office at City Hall, and they also shared that they spoke to the chief of fire, and they mentioned somebody's name, just sharing, and they also spoke to the police, and they said it was okay. So I made them aware who I was and that I had no knowledge of that, and that that everybody at City Hall knew that we were doing our first movie night, and they were very cooperative to not interrupt the movie night and didn't want to disturb us. So they were set up directly behind where the movie was going to be shown. So with one of the Public Works staff and myself, we directed them to a different location that we thought was safe, that would also not disrupt the movie. But since we had no way to get a hold of anybody at City Hall, it worked out for the best. I really think it worked out overall. I'm not sure if it was done as it was stated, but it did work out for everybody overall. And I have some great fireworks pictures.
It was a beautiful show, but I was approached and told that, why didn't you advertise more? And I said, what are you talking about? We talked about this movie for weeks. I was there. You were. Why didn't you invite me? Yeah. I didn't know what you were talking about. The fireworks show.
Yeah.
Well, that was just some kids. I think that was JJ that was nailing me on that one.
It was about $4,000 worth of fireworks.
Wow. It was impressive. It's impressive. So,
It was.
anyway, if council or anyone else hears that the city approved a fireworks show, that is not the case. They did not go through the proper permitting process. And I believe that we do have their names, and we'll be reaching out.
I was going to say, do you have names?
Yeah, we'll be reaching out to ensure this does not happen again in the future.
I have names, and I know that they're from Vancouver.
Okay.
We'll be having a nice little conversation. I also want to recognize, I forgot about this, Ben O'Doby, Darwin and Carol Rounds, Darlene and Jim Johnson, and Ben Thomas for the wonderful party on the 20th, because that came after our last council meeting. So very, very well done for two individuals who are running for office right now, who have contributed so much to the city of Woodland through the capital budget and through transportation dollars. So thank you for bringing them down here and allowing us to come out and at least say thank you, even those that may not agree with the political background, but at least an opportunity to step up and say thank you for all the wonderful things that you've done for our beautiful city. So thank you for coordinating that. And then also, I forgot to talk about Robin Hood the play on the 21st. If you got an opportunity to go down and see that, there was at the Love Street Playhouse. I encourage you at the next show, if you miss this one, get the next one. They do a wonderful job down there. It's amazing to see that our little city puts on such wonderful shows.
We're lucky to have it.
Absolutely, I agree. Melinda and Lou are doing a wonderful job down there, so good job to them. All right, moving on to consent items.
I'd like to pull D. So I'll move to approve the consent agenda A, B, and C.
I'll second.
Move to approve A, B, and C by Councilmember Frederick, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
All right, A, B, and C have been approved. Moving on to consent item D, street closure request 473 Windflower Drive.
Move to adopt with the date of event change to August 25th.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, second by Councilmember Rounds to move the date to August 25th. Mr. Fredericks?
That was the correct date, right, Mr. Boyce?
That is correct.
That's the only change.
Correct.
Same here.
Ms. Rounds?
Same.
All right, further discussion? Mr. Chapman?
Chief, I know it's a date change and stuff, but do you guys have any concern with the date change? It's still...
No, I had sent in some information on some things that we'd like to see when those type of closures take place. With the map indicated the way it is, they're closing the block kind of in the middle. So it would force vehicles to go down into the block to take that U-turn. So we just add the closure to...
Extend it.
what is it? Yeah, just to the end of the block, so that people can turn around safely. And I know that Chief Jackson feels the same way I do. They'll need that 20-foot wide leeway, so if there are emergency
Throughway.
calls in that area, we'll be able to get an apparatus through there, as well as police response if it's necessary. Nothing permanent blocking that. That's, other than that, those are the only restrictions or requests that have happened.
Generally, if we had input on it previously, we just like to know what the date is, so we're not surprised by it. So if Chief Jackson put input on it previously that it wasn't messed up, the date change will make
I think
things.
that's on, make for sure. Great.
Further discussion? Mrs. Anderson, will you please take the vote on consent item D, street closure request 473 Windflower Drive with a date change to August 25th?
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
All right, consent item D has passed. Moving on to action item E, ordinance number 1411, non-use utility hold.
Move to adopt ordinance number 1411.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
It's taken some time to get here, but we got it done. Wheels of government sometimes move slow, but it's here.
Councilmember Rounds.
Agreed.
Further discussion? Mr. Boyce.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to point out you have
yes.
another ordinance 1411 in front of you. Unfortunately, in the packet, we didn't have the most current information, so I wanted to point out that the information is different, so we're talking about a discontinuance of service no less than 30 days, but shall be no longer than 6 months. So that's essentially different from what you saw before. And there are some procedural items in that new language that wasn't there before, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
So, is there an issue with just changing the motion as amended? Just adding that language to the motion?
Is there objection? Okay. Further discussion? All right, well, Mrs. Anderson, will you please take the vote on ordinance number 1411?
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
All right, action item E has passed. Moving on to action item F, ordinance number 1408, authorized franchise with Verizon, final reading.
I make a motion to accept ordinance 1408, final reading.
Seconded.
Moved by Councilmember Rounds, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Rounds.
It's just a no-brainer.
Councilmember Plaza. Further discussion? Mrs. Anderson, will you please take that vote on ordinance number 1408?
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Action item F has been approved. Moving on to action item G, contract authorization, lift station 5 upgrade.
Move to approve action item G,
I'll second
lift
that.
station construction award.
Moved by Councilmember Chapman, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Chapman.
It's all been, Tracy said, it's all been put through and stuff. We just need to, say aye, get moving on this one, get this done.
Councilmember Plaza.
I agree.
Further discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Fredericks.
I'm going to have to abstain from voting on this action item. My bonus compensation plan is tied to Tapani, which albeit might be a very small fraction of that, my company could actually benefit from having this contract approved, so I'm going to abstain from voting.
Thank you, Mr. Fredericks. Further discussion? Mrs. Anderson, will you please take the vote on action item G, authorize contract for lift station 5 upgrade.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Abstain?
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
All right, action item G has passed. The time is now 8:26. We'll go into recess for 5 minutes and come back to the workshop.
Committee recommended that we bring this to council for a workshop, and it would be my recommendation that we would return this back to the Finance Committee for review. However, it would be very helpful to have some guidance from the council, so we aren't coming back to the meeting where we have or want to take action, and then there being all kinds of issues that you had with it but didn't share it with us. So it would be very helpful that if we take this back, because I think we need to, I think it's the committee, I think we need to have a discussion on the impact fee piece, and also what method, whether we do method 1, 2, or 3. I think there needs to be some further discussion on that. But I know as a member of the Finance Committee, I would like to have some input or some guidance, so we aren't caught off guard when we bring it back to the council for a recommendation.
Mr. Benjamin.
One of the things discussed in the Public Works Committee is going out for grant money to provide projects for the city, where it requires that the city provide some of the funding. We don't go in with zero. There's no cost to the city. It all comes from the grant. And that doesn't very often happen. And so if there's no money to be provided for the project here, then it's pretty tough to go out and get a grant because it doesn't help. Where if we had impact fees, that money could be provided for the projects that are coming up that we can get grants for. You could provide the city's portion that would apply towards getting the grant. It would make us eligible for a lot more grants than we currently get.
Ms. Coleman, do you know what the match is for the $600,000 that we got for Exit 21? Do you know what our portion of that is?
I do not, but I would like to share something in regards to grants that I.
Either way.
I'm of the opinion that our impact fees ought to reflect what surrounding areas are doing in a growing community. And that I don't think, certainly at a residential level, that's going to stop builders from coming in and building here. If you look at where we're heading, as an extension, as growth pushes from Vancouver this way, and they're doing it down there in a much bigger way than we are here. Just to manage their growth, and it's going to be here before very long. And we have to take a lesson from those who've been through it before.
I would point out one difference is that the cities of Ridgefield and Bliss Center are annexed into the district, so they do not pay a contract fee to us. They are provided, the taxpayers in those cities pay directly to us.
Right.
So, I mean, there's some,
At
we're trying to make some comparisons. There are
At $1.50 per thousand.
It is, yes.
And we're also at $1.50 per thousand.
Correct, but if assessed valuations go up higher than what we're authorized to collect, what they're assessed could actually drop down.
Do they do any of those within the, it's like, are you collecting fire impact fees as well?
No, in neither one of the cities.
Okay, because you're collecting enough from property tax.
Yes, but I would also say this, that the rate of growth in the city of Ridgefield is outpacing our ability to continue to provide that. You would expect that I would be in favor of fire impact fees in the city of Ridgefield at this time. And there is a station that needs to be built on the south end of Ridgefield. And we are now behind the curve on being able to pay for that fee. And had the forethought gone into, look, there's going to be a whole lot of development here, we should have a fire impact fee here that would help place that station there. It would have been very helpful.
Gotcha. Okay.
But in the current configuration, they do not.
So in reality, if we were to annex into the fire district, the fire impact fees would help build the additional station for you, or the expansion of the station that we currently have. Or it's going to help us in the future if we don't annex in either.
The fire impact fees predominantly go, as far as I've been advised by Chief Jackson, the fire impact fees are to pay for this station.
Okay. For the growth.
For what's been committed to this point.
Okay. Perfect, thank you, sir.
And is the 51 per square foot on the commercial side per average daily trip, is that competitive? I don't even know if that makes sense for our community. I'm not sure how that 51 cents per square foot was arrived at. It's been too long, I can't remember.
That's the faith part of that question.
So is that something that we could get a little bit more just clarity on?
Yeah,
Not the faith piece, but just the...
we could try and track it down. Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, I can't explain how the numbers were created. I can't remember that far back.
I believe Chief Jackson has some history on that, as well as have some research on what other jurisdictions in the state of Washington, other growth management cities outside this area. He has done some research on that and can provide that.
Okay.
So is it possible, without objection, this is going to go back to the Finance Committee? Is that,
Yes, yeah.
And Mr. Boyce, do you have a bullet point list of the discussion points that we wanted to raise during that meeting? So
I do.
my hope is that we can keep that meeting to a minimum just to include this and to have Mr. Goddard present at that meeting whenever he's available.
So are you talking all of the fees or just the impact fees? Because the impact fees are actually a separate ordinance.
It's a great question. Three things: the impact fees, the existing fees, and then clarification surrounding fire impact fees. So I guess two things, really. And then, yes. So method 1, method 2, or method 3. So we can provide a recommendation on the fee portion and then the impact fee as well. So yes, it would be two separate ordinances. And I'm not sure that I clearly understand the development that would occur outside into the county and how to address that effectively.
And that
So-
will be part of the comprehensive plan update.
Right.
That's the entire point of that conversation is how you would want to handle expanding the growth area. And so what you have before you today is just the land use and the other fees that the other departments have proposed. And it's got nothing to do with impact fees.
Correct. Now, nothing would prevent us, though, from bringing back the existing impact fee language ordinance, drawing a red line through whatever we've got in there and updating it with our existing, whatever we maybe come up with at the Finance Committee for comparison. So really what we'd be bringing back to the full council would be two ordinances, one replacing the land use fees, one replacing the impact fee as well. That's what we would be bringing back. But I would think that the impact fee ordinance would be rather simple to bring back to just adjust. I don't know if those interact with any other areas of the municipal code that would have to create other code amendments as well, but I would think that would be rather, I don't think that would be, I think it's all under one section, going off of memory.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the bigger question that you were talking about, and that is, we want to figure out, okay, what are the projects that you want funded, and then for us to do the mathematics, to
Right.
calculate how much should be paid for by existing, how much by new growth, what, do we do multiple zones, and figure out what those numbers are, and once you're comfortable with the numbers, that's what we'll bring back to the full council. Does that sound right?
Or the Finance Committee first.
Finance Committee.
Sorry.
How long does that take? How long do you need? I mean, that's not something where you can just grab a calculator and start hammering that out and have it back to us. I need to understand, or have a better understanding, at least from a Finance Committee perspective, of what type of timeline we're looking at to have that information to us so we can start formulating a good ordinance to bring back.
When is your next finance? Next month.
The first,
Next month.
what is it?
Probably won't be before next Monday.
No, it's August.
So we can have the conversation and lay out a timeline though.
Okay?
So I'll put together a timeline with Pete and Tracy, and then we'll talk about it on Monday and try and develop a timeline that you like.
The second question then to council would be, do you want us to just look at the land use fees separately and address those now while we're working on the impact fee, or do you want us to bring them both back at the same time?
I think we'd rather have you address the ordinance, so the planning and the planning fees, and do the impact fees separately. Ideally. That way we could incorporate those into the 2019 budget.
Okay. Does any member of council have an objection to that?
All right. It's after 10. We're at a workshop. Chair will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? wonderful meeting, everybody. Thank you. All right.